And we're on the races.
We're on the air.
Caller, you're on the air.
Oh, one thing I wanted to do real quick. I forgot to look up.
Strong start.
You're listening to How I Met Your Monster, a podcast that explores the introductions to your favorite movie monsters. My name's Zach.
I'm Danny.
And I'm Casey.
And together we dive into the world of horror to find out how filmmakers have introduced us to our favorite monsters time and time again. This is How I Met Your Monster.
Boss, you opened it. We came.
I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left.
Explorers in the further regions of experience. Demons to some, angels to others.
Call you meatloaf?
Surprise, Sydney.
Come on, don't be chicken shit.
Hello and welcome to How I Met Your Monster, the show where we discuss the introductions to your favorite movie monsters. I'm Zach.
I'm Danny.
And I'm Casey.
And today we are honoring the late, great Fred Ward.
Oh, R.I.P.
Yeah, which one was he?
R.I.P. Oh my God, Casey.
Earl.
He was Earl.
Aw.
Yep.
Like girl.
Come on, girl. It was Earl.
Fred
Yeah.
Ward left us a couple of weeks ago. I believe he was 79 years old. He had a good run. He was Remo Williams. He was in Southern Comfort. Have you guys ever seen Southern Comfort?
You know, I was looking at his IMDb and I realized that there are quite a few Fred Ward movies that I need to catch up on.
Okay.
So you may list some movies that I will have not seen.
I remember seeing Chain Reaction in the movie theater with my family, starring Keanu Reeves and Morgan Freeman.
Yeah,
Man, we love Keanu Reeves on this show. We talk about him a lot.
we do.
Some of us do, yeah.
I love him. We love him.
No, but today we are honoring Fred Ward with the 1990 creature feature Tremors, starring Fred Ward and Kevin Bacon and Reba McEntire.
And Reba. And the star of the American sitcom Reba.
Oh.
For like a split second, my brain was about to be like, oh, you guys know what I just watched? I just watched Tremors the other day.
Oh my gosh, Danny.
I actually just finished it because when I was watching it yesterday, there was still like a half an hour left, and it my Amazon got all fucked up, and it said that I had issues, and I couldn't finish it last night, so I just finished it.
Why were you watching Tremors in the Amazon? Do you think it's a Wi-Fi issue?
Yeah.
And I would put this, I know we've had some opinions over the last 54 episodes, and we also have some discoveries of what we call perfect horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
So far on that list are Misery and Pumpkinhead.
Oh, yeah.
I'm adding Tremors.
And Scream.
And Scream. And Scream. But I'm adding Tremors. How do you guys feel about that?
I support that.
Casey, what are your thoughts?
I'm not 100% in agreement, but that's okay.
Okay. Now, let me tell you.
Nobody asked you, Casey. I'm just kidding.
Excuse me. Rude.
Casey, was this your
did.
first viewing of Tremors?
Yes.
Okay.
I wasn't sure at first. I was like, I felt like I had seen it before I started watching it. I was like, I'm pretty sure I've seen this. I just don't remember it. And I thought that like things would start coming back to me, but they never did. So
Okay.
So what if we do this, Zach? Just an idea. What if we cut Tremors in half? We put half of it in the perfect horror movie category and the other half in the category that we haven't really discussed in a while, but it's that childhood nostalgia factor perfection. Wait a minute. So Tremors isn't just a perfect horror movie because we have this subjective opinion on it. It's the perfect horror movie because it takes place in the town of perfection.
That's right. Population 14.
not anymore.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, depending on when you're watching the movie.
Okay, but if we cut it in half, what half is going in the perfect horror movie section and what half is not?
Anytime Kevin Bacon goes, well, fuck you.
Dude. The
Or
acting.
what the hell's going on? I mean, what the hell's going on?
You can't do it. Like,
Interesting.
Kevin Bacon is so unique in like his voice and acting that it's so hard. I've never heard someone do a Kevin Bacon impression.
I'll
Kevin
find
Bacon's
somebody.
one of the best actors at hitting like total different ends of the spectrum in terms of range, because he can play such dark, and that's not to say other actors can't do that too, but he does it in such a way that he just nails it so well. Like when he's playing what's like in Sleepers, he's so detestable and creepy, and he doesn't even have to say a word and you're terrified of him. But then you have him in something like Tremors where he just goes all the way to 100 and he sells it. But it's like, it's on that like level of like silly, but also you just want to like cheer along with him.
Mm-hmm.
He's a ballsy actor. You know, I mean, we could spend all day talking about his versatility, but that just kind of, you go from Footloose to Tremors to Sleepers to The Woodsman, you know. He's in a new horror movie coming out. It's an LGBTQ kind of oriented horror movie called They, Them.
Right. It's about like a conversion camp, isn't it?
Yeah.
Man.
Was the last camp movie he did Friday the 13th? Can we think of another Kevin Bacon camp movie?
I can think of some that he's in the wilderness. You've got The River Wild, which is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
With Meryl Streep and John C.
Reilly, David Stratham.
And you've got, what is it? Something about summer. Oh, it's called Whitewater Summer. And
I've never even heard of that.
he takes these boys out on a camping trip. I think he must be like a scout leader or something. And he's like pushing them really hard to be like the best they can be and like pushing them to like their physical limits. Thank you. And then an accident happens and the kids have to kind of like fend for themselves. And it's really good. I would highly recommend Whitewater Summer. But anyways, I love that we started this episode with a tribute to Fred Ward, and we've been talking about Kevin Bacon for the past 20 minutes.
That's what Fred Ward would have wanted.
That's true. That's true.
They were such good friends. It just lends to the camaraderie that they have together, which just comes so naturally. Right out of the gate, you get it in this movie. They sell it. You're like, oh, okay, I'm into this movie. I could follow these two for the next hour and a half.
Yeah, they worked so well together.
Oh, Fred Ward, you'll be missed. And for what it's worth, it's inspired me to want to watch some more Fred Ward movies that I'm way behind on.
Yes. What I would suggest, Southern Comfort. It's about these, they're in the National Guard, and they're like in Louisiana, in the swamps of Louisiana. And something happens, and they're like, I forget how, but they get like separated from the rest of the National Guard team.
Okay.
And they get like hunted by these Cajun woodsman people. Not like Wrong Turn style. They're not like deformed and monsters and stuff. They're just like crazy.
Okay.
And oh man, the end is so suspenseful. I don't even know how to describe it. It is like a masterclass in suspense, like the last 20 minutes of Southern Comfort.
Okay. Oh, I'm definitely going to watch
So
it.
good. But before we get into our monster today, have you guys watched anything over the last few days, horror related?
I watched The Sadness.
What did you think of The Sadness?
It was great.
Oh
I liked
my
it.
God.
It was good. I liked the little bit of what made it made it a little bit different from, because it wasn't really a zombie movie.
Yeah.
But it kind of treated itself as a zombie movie with the way that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because they're not dead.
Right. But yeah, I thought it was pretty fucked. A lot of stuff that happened, I was like, man, how could it get any? Whoa! Oh my god! It just got worse. You know, like
I stand corrected.
Danny, did you watch anything good?
Jimmy and I started the Saw franchise. So we've so far have watched Saws 1 through 5.
Okay.
Ooh.
And I will say, you guys know I'm like not great with gore, especially when it's like torture porny gore, like where it's just really just like basking in the bloody grossness of it, just for the sake of it. So there's been a lot of like me covering my eyes.
Thanks, Eli Roth.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks, Obama. But I will say though, of all the franchises that Jimmy and I have watched, this has been the most engaged that we've been, because I'm like literally just like shrieking and like yelling, and he's laughing, and I'm like, oh my god, you know, like just it's so vocal. And the fact that there is so much, they put so much effort into kind of like connecting everything.
Okay. Yeah.
It is fun to play along with. And then Jimmy is just such a super fan. So it's nice to have him kind of like along for the ride. And it's so new for me because I've only seen the first 2 or first 3. So it's fun. Yeah, we're having a good time.
Okay.
I love the first 2. After that, I'm not like a huge fan, but I still remember I can still remember the first time I watched the first one.
Yeah.
When he gets up at the end, I remember like screaming, and my mind
and
was
the music
fucking
kicks
blown.
in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I saw that with a
remember.
friend in high school, and we were just enjoying it. But yeah, the ending comes, and I remember we just looked at each other and our mouths just like dropped. We're like, what?
Yeah. Zachary?
Okay. I don't think I watched
anything?
I don't think I watched any horror related content. I watched Kids in the Hall, the new Kids in the Hall series from Amazon. It is hysterical.
Good.
And it might be like they have such a unique style of humor that it's like, I don't know if everybody would think it's funny. And even like the new, what is it? Gen Z? Are they the new people?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if they would be like into it.
These damn Gen Zers.
I feel like it's kind of
good. They don't need it.
I
This
could
is
be
for
wrong.
us.
I could be completely wrong. But it's funny anyways.
I don't think Gen Z has much of a sense of humor at all. So
Yeah.
Yeah, they're too busy saving the fucking world.
Those stupid motherfuckers.
Those stupid fuckers.
No, you can
get
still
really
save the
angry.
world and have a sense of humor.
Fuck Earth, watch comedy. I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I'm all for saving the Earth.
Well, of course, so am I. But I mean, I can still fucking recycle and watch funny movies.
That's true.
You know.
And I also watched Pump Up the Volume with Christian Slater from like, I don't know, it might have been like the really late 80s or the early 90s. He's like a pirate radio DJ. He like moves to this new high school, and he's like,
man.
I haven't finished it yet. I'm about halfway through, but it's like, it's so cheesy because he's like this, when he's in school, he's the new kid, and he's like quiet, and he's like, he always keeps his head down. He's really shy in class. He like won't talk. Like when the teacher calls on him, he's real shy. But then he goes in his basement at night, and his name is, what's his name?
And he totally transforms.
Harry Hardon or something like that.
What? Is he a porn star or is he a radio
mistake.
DJ?
He's a radio host. I mean, he does like, he like pretends to jack off on the air, and he makes like, he makes like noises with his hands. But he's like, he's got all these deep philosophies, and he's all talking about like all these fucking meaningful things. And he's very like broody and emo. And he's just like
the tagline is, during the day he's a nerdy master debater, but at night he's a cool masturbator. Harry Hardon is gonna pump up the volume.
Talk hard, steal the air.
Well, do you guys think it's time to meet our monster?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Do you feel that? There's some vibration in the ground. There's some seismic shifts in the earth. There's some aptly named tremors on the ground.
They are. That's probably why the movie was called Tremors. Instead of writing worms, because I didn't know at the time they were called graboids until I actually looked up stuff about the movie, I kept just typing tremors, and then I was like, no, they're not called tremors. Tremors are what happens when they move through the ground. They're not called tremors.
When I was a kid, I used to call them tremors.
Me too.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
good. I'm a 32-year-old woman.
Well,
To be fair, when I was a kid, I was also a 32-year-old woman.
okay. So today we are talking about graboids.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Danny, have you seen any of the other Tremors movies?
Only the second one,
Okay.
which I probably watched as much as the first one. I enjoyed both of them very much.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen it in a while, but I was a big fan.
Okay. I think I've only seen part 2 once.
Okay.
And then I started to watch part 3 and couldn't get into it.
What a bummer.
More recently, I started to watch part 3 and it was like, no.
It's one of those franchises that goes on a lot longer than you'd think.
Yeah,
it
there's like 7, I think.
Something like that.
And
They did a pilot.
they also made a pilot for a
yeah.
sci-fi series that didn't get picked up, which is a sin
Yeah.
What's a sin?
because it brought back Kevin Bacon as Val.
But think about sci-fi and the Sci-Fi Channel, and think about anything that has originally come from the Sci-Fi Channel that's been good.
I don't know.
That's what I thought.
Did
Well, think
Sci-Fi
about
do the
fucking-
reboot of Leprechaun? Which actually wasn't a reboot because it was Leprechaun Returns.
Was it bad?
It was fun. I mean, it's a Leprechaun movie.
Yeah. It's not Warwick Davis, is it?
No, and that bummed me out. But there's some good kills in it, and it is what it. You have to go into it like it is what it is. It's a Leprechaun movie, but they do try to treat it like it is 100% a legacy sequel. So it's very much like the Halloween 2018 Scream 5 kind of thing.
Yeah. Did you guys ever see Dr. Giggles? This is completely off topic.
Never.
A long time ago. Is that about the dentist?
No, that's the dentist.
Oh, well then no. I've seen the dentist, but not Dr. Giggles.
That was Dr. Wiggles. Because he
Dr.
like wiggles your
Wiggles.
teeth.
Yeah.
Doctor, my teeth
Shut
are
the fuck
wiggling.
up,
Well,
Zach.
you've come to the right place.
Shut the fuck up.
No, but today we're talking graboids, which back in the 19th century, when they were first discovered, they were known as dirt dragons.
Dirt dragons.
Dirt dragons.
Sounds offensive.
It does sound offensive. I like it.
So they hunt by vibrations, right? We know that.
Sounds like me.
They, we know that they are subterranean. They live under the ground. They move kind of like, I don't know, they got these little like hooks on the side of their body that push them through the dirt. Apparently they stink really bad.
Yeah. Worse when
are-
they're alive.
Yeah. I want to know what they smell like.
A full-size graboid can measure up to 30 feet long and 6 feet wide.
Jeez.
Wow.
And it can weigh between
James?
10 to 20 tons.
Good Lord. So that's bigger than Bruce the Shark in Jaws. Which I think it was like 25.
Yeah, that
Or
sounds
that's
right.
one of the sequels. I don't know. I know it gets bigger, but the sharks at least get bigger. Bruce
Yeah.
did.
But actually, the graboids
An orca
that...
whale,
Oh, an orca whale is what?
30 feet long.
Oh, okay. Shit.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Tremors are
Sorry.
big. I mean, graboids are big.
Gotcha.
But actually, the graboid stage is the beginning stage of the graboids. The graboids is just their first stage in their life cycle.
So they're just like little maggots.
Well, after the graboid eats so much food, it will die.
Oh,
But the tongues keep living. And the
Okay.
tongues will burst out of the graboid of its dead carcass, and it is now a shrieker. A shrieker is what you would have seen in Tremors 2. They look
Makes
like
sense.
little chicken. They look like chickens. They walk around. They can also go underground and they can walk, right? That's the second stage of their life cycle.
Okay.
The third stage is the ass blaster stage.
Oh, that's
yes.
my favorite.
This is where this series has gone from a quote unquote perfect horror movie to a sequel that includes ass blasters.
So I would think that maybe the sequel might be better than the original. If the monsters are called ass blasters, what sounds better than that? Come on now.
You just defeat them with some Pepto-Bismol.
I don't know if ass blasters are in part 2. They may have come in part 3 or later.
I'm not.
They might be in part 2. I'm not
ass blasting creatures,
but they shoot fire out of their behind. Hence the name ass blasters.
Are they setting their farts on fire?
Well, when they're at the end of their life cycle, they shoot an egg out of their ass blaster, and that egg will eventually hatch and become a graboid. So basically, it is like a giant maggot.
That's a circle of life.
Yeah.
It's like a giant maggot, and it becomes a fly, basically. And then it's like you said, the circle of life. It's just a cycle.
And then the fly shits out a baby, and the baby, very like, I'm picking up some like Lion King vibes. I feel like this is like a speech Mufasa gave to Simba before he died.
Probably did.
It's the great circle of life. And within that circle, you'll happen upon some ass blasting, but you just accept that for what it is.
So actually, there is an American species of graboids, which reside in the northern hemisphere. And there's also an African species of graboids. Their tongues, also known as grabbers, can detach from the actual graboid itself.
Okay.
They can detach. They can hunt on their own. They can climb up rocky surfaces, things like that. So they're a lot harder to deal with, probably.
Okay.
But a character in Tremors, Burt Gummer, has been a recurring character in all the Tremors movies.
Oh, fun.
And he considers ass blasters to be the most dangerous form of a graboid.
He's the survivalist, so.
I would have to agree with him.
You've never even seen an ass blaster.
I've happened upon a few ass blasters in my time, and you try to avoid them, but
Oh, so there's also an Arctic species of graboid.
Well, that's terrifying.
I can't imagine they're going to have ass blasters given the cold temperatures.
They actually do have ass blasters. They don't have shriekers. Weird. Right?
Maybe the ass blasting keeps them warm in the cold environment.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Here's a safety tip, a quick safety tip for dealing with graboids. When in an area infested with graboids, it is important to remain absolutely motionless and silent.
Okay.
If you are in a stopped motor vehicle, do not let the engine idle. And be certain to turn off car stereos and other sound-producing devices, such as portable CD or tape player with headphones.
Unless you're listening to an episode of How I Met Your Monster, blast that. Pump up the volume, to quote an earlier reference.
That's right. If you are in an area with graboids, do not jump on a pogo stick. By no means should you jump on a pogo stick.
Avoid that.
Use a jackhammer or use a drilling rig. Graboids will be attracted to the vibrations and will eat you. So
yeah.
So those three things.
You don't want to do
avoid,
any of
you're
those
good.
things.
Otherwise, you're fine.
Yes.
Or don't live there. Well, do the ass blasters look like the shriekers, or do they look more? Are they?
Why don't you just Google ass blaster and let us know what you find?
Yeah, exactly. This is no. I refuse to. I told you I have been having sleepless nights lately. I do not need the visual
That
of an
would
ass
certainly
blaster in my head haunting me.
Ass blasters, also referred to as flying shriekers, blast offers, or butt launchers.
Blast offers.
But I think butt launchers is a category on Grindr.
I thought it was blast offers.
Oh, gosh.
Gosh.
We're entering Pride Month. It's about time we talked about
Oh,
these
yeah, we
ass
are.
blasters.
We are, you're right.
Yes.
All right, guys, let's blast our asses into this movie.
Let's blast into this movie. Yeah, so we get the cool opening with that title that kind of gets like, it's very like Southwestern.
Almost Predator.
You know
It's
what I mean?
also very quick because I missed it.
Yeah, it just says Tremors, and then like, bam, it kind of goes into the word a little bit. And we get a great opening. Danny, like you said, it really shows like the chemistry between Earl and Val.
Well, some horror comedies will start off like Scream. I would also say Scream is just like a horror movie that happens to have like a sense of humor. So I don't know if this counts, but that's a movie that starts off like, this is horror. But then you have movies like Cabin in the Woods that start off almost like anti-horror. And then this kind of movie starts off where it's like, no, this is comedy, but we're going to sort of plant the seeds for some potentially horrific elements just by sort of, you know, because these characters happen to be passing through it. It's just like circumstance.
Right.
Which I think is good because it sets the tone right away. Because I think if you had injected the humor after like an opening kill, it would have felt a little off, maybe. Mm-hmm. But that's maybe just
yeah. I mean, it's like whatever you lead with, you kind of. That's what, you know. Just like you said about Scream, you lead with that scary, horrific.
Like what takes precedence? Is it going to be the comedy or the horror? And I would say Tremors is much more lighthearted than something like Scream. Maybe. Would you agree?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it really is. It's really playing on those 1950s kind of giant.
Totally.
Bug, giant animal things. And he even makes a reference later. Val says like they're trying to figure out what it is. And Val's like, I don't know, maybe it's like mutation caused by radiation or something. And it's like, I see what you're doing. Like you're like referencing the type of movie that you're like almost parodying.
And in that same note, they talk about like, is it the government? Is it aliens? It's like, it's all those fears just sort of like crammed into one like moment. What I really like about this scene too, there's this one quick moment in the opening and it tells us that these two characters, Val and Earl, work the best when they're together, even though they are sort of like an odd couple. And they do it in such a perfect little way where they're going to smoke a cigarette. And one of them has the cigarettes and one of them has a lighter, but they're both searching for it. And they both like need each other to sort of satisfy like their little urge to smoke a cigarette. It's like so simple, but the way they do it is so kind of like, there's a lot of like physical comedy in it. And I thought that was kind of a sweet way to introduce them and just them as like characters and how they're going to work together later on.
Right. And that comes into play at the end of the movie.
So yeah, there's like some foreshadowing.
Yeah, when Rhonda, they're running towards the thing and Rhonda's like has the lighter and she's behind them all.
Because then they're like, we need Rhonda too. She's part of this little trio. That's fun.
Poor Rhonda. When they meet Rhonda for the first time, I bet that truck stinks. You know what I mean? Like they're sleeping outside. No, their truck. When they like drive up. Yeah. And Val's like, you will have long blonde hair, big great eyes.
His ridiculous list.
And then like it pulls up and the smoke clears away and it's like the complete opposite. I love it.
But she's so pretty.
She is.
She is pretty.
She was always my favorite character as a kid.
Makes me mad.
It makes you mad?
No, it makes me mad that he made that list and then she wasn't that, he was like disappointed.
Oh,
but she's fucking beautiful.
Like exactly. Yeah.
Like she was supposed to be some like dork that isn't good looking.
Right.
You know?
And then like they only get together at the end because they like what they went through.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a movie trope where like they put in someone who's clearly just very classically attractive. Right. They're telling us they're not. So we're like, oh, okay. Yeah. I guess I'll just like jump on board
it's
with
like
that.
Like she's all that, like how she wasn't actually pretty until they like took her hair down and took her glasses off.
Kevin Bacon's like, can you take your hair down for a second? I'm trying to see something.
As soon as she gets that sunscreen off her nose, she's like, that's her taking off her glasses. No, but I bet it stinks. Like they're like sleeping outside. They're working all day. They're just like,
I mean, let's be real. The
truck.
whole town probably stinks.
It's true. But their truck probably smells the worst.
Probably does.
So we get to the town of Perfection, population 14. How, like, can that even be a town?
No, there's no way. No, there's no
Who's
way
the mayor?
possible.
Yeah.
Probably Walter. He owns everything, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Walter. I liked Walter.
Yeah. He owns
A
everything.
little opportunist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just take it.
After
Just like,
everything,
all
it's
right,
like-
how can I purchase that and then resell it?
Well, yeah, he buys the dead graboid for what,
Yeah.
$15, and then he sells pictures at $3 a pop. He
Yeah.
knows what he's doing. We get some foreshadowing with the soda cooler in his store that starts vibrating.
There's a lot of moments like that in the movie that are fun because going into this movie, I feel like you know what you're sort of going to expect. Like they set up like, you know, because Rhonda's talking about how she studies seismology and like movements in the earth. And then you're seeing everything, like the pogo stick and every possible thing that could like move and shake against the earth. And it's like, okay, when's that going to come back into play?
When we cut back to Rhonda, we get like a kind of like a little fake out for just like a second because the camera moves along the ground towards Rhonda.
Yeah.
Very like Evil
Kind of
Dead.
like
Yeah,
Evil
they
Dead.
they do the Evil Dead thing a lot.
Yeah.
In this.
Yeah, but it's like still above the ground, so it looks like something like small coming
Yeah.
at her. But then that only lasts for a few seconds, and then they cut, and you see the rolling dirt, which is such a cool effect. I just love that.
Is- I think that this set would have been a lot of fun to be on.
Oh,
Totally.
yeah.
So much fun. Just that tiny quote unquote town in the middle of the desert and all of these fucking animatronics and oh my god, it was so much fun.
That's so true. That's a good
So
point.
much fun.
You're so
Yeah.
isolated. You're kind of like just stuck with everyone.
Yeah, it'd be great. It would be so great.
So speaking of the set, Ron Underwood directed this movie. Do you know what else Ron Underwood did?
What else?
Aside from City Slickers, he also did Heart and Souls.
No kidding.
I don't know what that is. I would like to state that anytime anything involves shit in a comedy or a horror comedy, something's gonna go wrong.
What was the shit?
Right. The septic
They were emptying the
pump,
sewage tank,
Oh, yeah.
the septic tank. Yeah,
and it sprays all over him.
yeah. And I knew as soon as I saw it, I'm like, that's not gonna go well.
Yeah.
They were
It did.
foreshadowing the ass blasters.
Oh,
Like, just you wait.
yep.
Two
This is
movies
only
from
the
now,
beginning.
it's going to happen.
This is going to make sense.
So one thing that I noticed, Earl is all about plans. He is always getting on Val for not having a plan. They're always talking throughout the whole movie. They're like, what's the plan? What's the plan? What's the plan?
Yeah.
And every time he has a plan, it goes wrong. And it isn't until like the one thing that goes right in the end is when there is no plan and Val is just like winging it.
Okay, that is not the real world, and plans are good.
Would you say that by the end of the movie, Earl sort of like loosens up and Val is the one who's like decides he kind of wants to settle down? So they do sort of have a little bit of an arc, even if it's just sort of a mild one.
Yeah.
A mild arc.
Earl's like, I'm going to like take it easy, you guys. What if the end was like a slow motion of him just like dramatically throwing away his like schedule, like his schedule or his little book,
No,
little planner,
Earl,
His little book.
and then he winks at it, and then the note, and then we look at the planner and it winks back at him, and the credits roll.
No, we need plans. Plans are good.
Agreed.
There'd be like this fun little thing where he like Val and Rhonda are like kissing down the road and he like tosses his little scheduler in the garbage and he starts like walking away towards him. But then the camera like stays on the schedule on top of the garbage and he like walks back and grabs it.
Yes.
And, like, walks away. And we start noticing like the townspeople start to get killed. We've got
One by
Fred
one.
up on we got Edgar up on the power line on the electrical tower.
Yeah.
You get that awesome suck under the ground with Fred and his sheep.
Yep.
And
Yep, yep.
they pick up his hat. Casey, did you see that coming?
No,
His face under the hat? Did it scare you?
no, it didn't scare me. I liked it.
Oh, okay.
Casey's like,
Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
I love it. It's very good.
Good Lord.
Good Lord. But yeah, I'm always surprised that there are they really just like get to it. They're like, we're just going to kill off a lot
They
of
do.
people and we are going to isolate these other characters and they are going to deal with this shit.
But it is cool that like they start showing you just the grabbers, the snake tongues.
Yeah.
And so you kind of think that that's them.
Yeah.
And then it's not till a little bit later that the whole big graboid comes out of the ground and you're like, holy shit.
That's so true.
Yeah. Because it being the first time I saw it, because of the poster, when they showed the small ones, I was like, that's it. I thought they were like,
Yeah, like,
I thought they
that's
were gonna be
deceiving.
like huge. Yeah. And then that one came out. I was like, oh,
That's
is
funny.
cool.
Doesn't he have teeth on the posters?
Yeah. This is like such a classic monster movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like they're not reinventing the fucking wheel with this one.
No.
But it's so good. I mean, you've got the thing that is killing people. They don't know what it is. They're surrounded and they have no way to get out.
They take such like a traditional framework and then you get like little twists. Like Casey, the fact that you were watching it, you were like, oh, you were kind of thrown off by just the little grabber things coming out. And then you realize it's actually part of a bigger creature.
Yeah.
And then you have the comedic elements of it. And, you know, the movie does start off like it's almost like a buddy comedy about two guys who just want to like move on and, you know, like take on the world. But then all of a sudden they're facing a creature. And yeah, I think it works because it doesn't take itself seriously. So that's like just another layer to it that just sets it apart. Even though, like you said, it still feels like there's something very familiar about it. God, I love this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I always loved the part when they take off on the horses and it's like, it's almost like this, it turns into like a classic Western for like 30 seconds. And they're like going off on the horses and then the horses get spooked and they don't know what's going on. And that's when we see our big graboid for the first time.
Yeah, that's when we meet the monster officially.
It was sad.
Oh, I know. The poor horse.
Yeah. And I could see the wires or there was like a string attached to one of the horse's legs or something that you can see.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that when they used to like pull the legs out from under him to make him fall?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's what it was or not, but I could see it.
They used to do some fucked up stuff to horses in movies before they like cracked down on like the laws.
Yeah, animal cruelty and stuff.
Well, yeah, I think they would like, you know, in like these Westerns and stuff, they'd be riding the horses and then the horse would like fall over or something. They would like somehow trip it or like hook. They would like attach something to its leg and like pull it out so that they would just like fall over.
Yeah.
And I wonder if I wonder if this was like
like
still in that time frame when they were allowed to do that. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. It's 1990, so I love horses, and those horses are beautiful.
Nice horses. Yeah.
They're so pretty, the horses that they ride. But yeah, they originally stopped though. It's cool because they before that we get that scene of that couple in that car. Or the couple. Yeah, and
Jim and his
with
wife.
the generator.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, when he gets sucked under, like I feel so bad because he's like screaming and he's saying like, "Get me out of here! Like, help me!"
Yeah. Also, an element of claustrophobia in that part because like when he goes under, he's like, it's just
still alive.
Sand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And he's basically suffocating in sand.
Yeah, there's a version of this movie that you could make that is not funny whatsoever.
Yeah.
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 And you could go places, I think, with it that could get real. I mean, if you really think about it, a lot of, well, maybe not, because I guess we do see a lot of the deaths. I was going to say there are, you know, like Edgar's death on the power line thingy. Like that almost feels like a short film or something, or that could have been an opening kill. You know, it's so dark.
Yeah.
The fact that he's up there for so long.
Because he's just terrified.
Yeah.
It's like a
like
standoff.
he's just up there because he's scared.
Yeah, it's dark. Like the things that are implied are dark, but then I guess we do even see a lot of dark stuff. So yeah, they do really balance. I guess they do have a really nice balance of comedy and horror in this that they pull off, which is not easy.
Right.
Yeah. And all the little ones attack the car too, and they're like super slimy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think they're not going to do that much, but then
drooling
they are
all
still
over the fucking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even
They
like the
blow
second you start
underneath.
like laughing at them, you're like, these aren't anything. And then all of a sudden they kill her. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Val and Earl find the car because they hear the radio.
Yeah, they hear the radio.
He says, "Where's that golden oldie coming from?"
Go no.
That's great.
Do you think this is the midpoint where it kills itself against the rock, and they think they're like, "Oh yes, we did it.
Yeah,
We're gonna be awesome." And then it's like,
we're gonna be awesome.
we're in good shape. And then it's like, oh wait, there's 3 more.
Oh yeah.
Do you think that would be
That's
a
a
midpoint?
great
Because
point.
it's like, you know, your characters, you think they're at that point where you think they've figured it out.
Sort of like
and then
the
it's
point
like,
of no return. So that would make sense. Mm-hmm. That would make a lot of sense.
Then they find out there's 3 more and they're coming for them. So they take off for the rocks. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny when they're checking to see if it's still there. And it is still there. And Earl says, "Goddamn bitch." And then he says, "Pardon my French. Shit."
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny. He's like so polite throughout the whole movie.
He's
It's
cute.
like, even in
I
like
like him.
the middle of everything, he'll stop to say, you know, "Excuse me for swearing."
Although I am disappointed by him when later on when Rhonda has to take her pants off and Kevin Bacon's like helping stitch her up and like bandage her up. And
Yes.
he's just kind of sitting there just like ogling her. And it's like, okay. And then Walter,
Is he?
who's a hero,
Yeah.
comes over and he's like,
Yeah.
put some pants on. Is it Walter or is it Miguel's character?
Is Miguel.
Okay, Miguel.
It's like,
Yeah.
"Here's your pants." Yeah. Well, see, first of
Walter's
all,
dead by then.
that's
Oh,
the
is
way.
he?
Not yet. No, that Walter's about to die in the movie here in like 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
I know he's dead by the time she doesn't have pants on.
No, I don't think so, because it's they're in the store and she's getting her pants on, and that's when the soda machine starts to vibrate again.
Oh, okay.
And that's when Walter gets eaten. And then the Tremors are like coming in, and so
The
What are
Tremors?
they?
oh my god, I knew it. The graboids are coming in, and that's when they like get up on the shelves and head up towards the roof. But when the soda machine starts going crazy again, Val fucking jumps on top of it.
Yeah, and makes
And then-
they all make so much more noise.
And then they're
they
like-
knock over all the soda.
Yeah, and he's like, "Pull it back, pull it back." I was like,
And,
it
yeah.
would be a lot easier if you didn't jump on the fucking thing.
Wait,
Yeah, and if maybe you just walked over to it and pulled it away and unplugged
If
it.
this is like a David Zucker production, like airplane movies, they're like, quick, get something to cover
Yeah.
it. And they're like, it's like they get like a mechanical vibrator. They get one of those like like those beds from like the those motels and like
Oh, yeah.
vacations, like everything that could possibly shake more than the machine. They just keep adding to it.
But no, Earl, when she is getting bandaged up and he's sitting there with like a grin on his face. At first, I was like, "Ew, okay, what are you doing? You're kind of creepy." But then I got the impression that he was just like smiling because he was, you know, throughout the whole movie, he's like rooting for Val to like
Yes.
Oh, that's fair.
make a move.
Yeah.
And then I kind of got the impression that he was like smiling because he's like, "Here you go, Val. Like, here's your chance."
That's what I was thinking.
And also
too.
Val's kind of being
which is-
like sweet. He's not
Which
worried
is
about.
still creepy. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, you're right.
He's like,
He's
yeah,
being
you
sweet.
gotta
And
be,
he's
you're
like,
being
okay.
decent right now. He's like, but yeah, it's the look maybe isn't
Yeah.
quite landing.
Yeah. But that was my first impression too. I was like, ooh.
Ugh.
You know what I noticed?
What?
Val,
what'd you
his
notice?
real name is Valentine.
Yeah.
And his
Yeah.
belt buckle is a heart.
Oh, how cute.
So he
Yeah.
was destined to fall in love. He's not a womanizer.
That's right.
He's
He's a woman.
a lover boy, which is a movie that was directed by Kira Sedgwick.
Loverboy with Patrick Dempsey.
You were totally wrong.
No. I remember this because this movie
yeah,
stood out because when I
there
was
it
a
is.
kid, I never played I did like a little bit of sport, but I didn't really play any sport. And I would go to all my brothers.
Did you just call sports sport?
Yep.
Like
Yes.
singular?
Yes.
It's all the same thing. JK. Do what you love. I had my brother's coach would always call me Lover Boy because I would be at all the games and all the practices, but I would always be hanging out with like the girls. Now, mind you, I was like this little gay boy, like playing with the girls, like while all the boys are playing football. But he thought I was like, I was like a ladies'
Macking on
man.
him.
Yeah. So like he would always call me Lover Boy. So
Joke's on him.
I was like the gay version of Kevin Bacon in this movie. And he was like Fred Ward in this movie when he finally saw me settle down and was like, okay. And I misinterpreted his stare. I was like, is that creepy or are you proud of me? I don't know.
There is a movie called Loverboy, directed by Kevin Bacon.
Okay. And it
Starring
stars
Keira
Keira.
Sedgwick.
Okay. Gotcha.
Oh, man.
I was close.
Oh, you know what scene is so fun?
What scene is so fun?
The pole vaulting scene.
Oh, yeah.
The convenient
They're
pole
boulder
vaulting
hopping.
scene.
Very
Well,
They're
convenient.
like, how do we get out of here? Like, well, look at this.
Yeah, after like a day and a half on that rock, he like went to sleep or whatever, and there's like, oh hey, there's some poles over here. They had like such a little like no one checked that side of the rock. They're just like. So yeah, back at the general store, the graboid has come up and has eaten Walter, and now they are headed up towards the roof.
Yep.
But not before Val has to go save Mindy on the pogo stick.
Yes.
Yes.
Mindy, who in 4 years' time would be in Jurassic Park.
Yep.
Oh,
This
was
is the
that her?
second movie she starred in where to avoid the monster, you just have to not move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for different reasons. But
She goes for the audition
principle.
and they're like, okay, you need to be very quiet. She's like,
really
well, I can
She's
do
like,
that.
no, I got
I've
it.
done this.
Yeah, like yeah.
She
Thank you,
brings
though.
her pogo stick.
Yeah.
I was in a little movie like 4 years ago called Tremors. You may have heard of it.
It's sort of the inspiration
Which actually
for
I
Jurassic
think
Park.
I think this was actually a box office bomb.
Yes, I would imagine.
So it's a good fun fact. Great.
It's a good fun fact.
It's funny you should mention that because I watched this little interview with Kevin Bacon, and he said that he had a great time filming the movie, and he would have liked to have come back for a sequel, but it did bomb. But it did so well on like home video release that by the time it was successful enough to warrant a sequel, he had already kind of like left the project to move on, and he felt sad that he didn't get to revisit his. Yeah.
So they're on the porch. They're not on the porch. They're on the roof.
The roof.
They're on the roof.
But I do love that right after Rhonda gets like wrapped up in the barbed wire and they're running back into the store. I love that shot down the porch where the floorboards are like rolling up behind them.
That's one of my
because
favorite
the Tremors
moments.
coming.
That's like iconic.
Yeah, and it's so quick, but it's just oh my god, so good.
That could have been in like a teaser trailer, just like that shot, and then like Tremors.
Yeah. What about Bert and Heather Gummer's basement attack?
What about him?
It's Bert and Reba, okay? I don't know what name you're giving
She
her.
will never be anybody other than Reba.
Heather.
Reba. But
Heather.
I loved this scene as a kid when they're in the basement and the graboid busts through the wall and they're like shooting at it and nothing's happening. But then the camera dollies over and reveals like this whole wall of guns. It's funny to think like now, like my stance on guns, it's funny to think that I used to love this kind of scene.
I know.
But
I was going to say,
Yeah,
like, you know
I
who
mean,
else
it's
like
still
this?
badass.
The NRA.
yeah, it was so fun to see that and just be like, oh man.
Well, it's like a video game.
Yeah. Yeah. And they take it down.
Yeah, they do.
They take down the graboid.
They take down
But
the wall.
there's this shot of Bert in front of the graboid and he's like shooting at it with a machine gun. And it's very clearly like superimposed over the other image of like the graboid in the basement kind of like wiggling and then Bert's like shooting him.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's supposed to look bad, but it does.
Well,
But it also like, but because it does look kind of cheesy, it totally adds to like it just adds to like the whole tone of the movie that they're like parodying these like old monster
that
movies that were like
vibe.
old schools. Yes, B-movie vibe. Thank you. And so whether it was supposed to look that way or not, it totally like works either way.
Yeah.
Which I thought was
Was
fun.
there stop motion used in here at all? I felt like I saw a couple of parts that were stop motion, but I probably should have
when the
looked into
little
it more.
things were coming out, the first time we saw the tongues coming out, or what are they called?
Yeah.
The grabbers.
The grabbers. They were straight up like really solid stop motion.
In
almost where you
like
couldn't
when
even
they come
tell.
out in the basement.
There's a moment earlier
When
on
he breaks
in the
through
movie
the wall?
when the creature opens his. I'm not sure what scene. I just know the creature opens his mouth and they come out, and they're not always stop motion, but in that particular moment, there's this one close up on them when they're like really wiggling around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it starts. They're like, oh, they're so smart because they figure out like that the people on top of the buildings are trying to.
Yeah,
Get
and
the
that's when they're like, we need to get the
foundation
fuck out of here because this is a temporary solution. And then he's like, what is it? The caterpillar, the bulldozer thing with like
The cat. Yep.
the cat,
Caterpillar.
the train.
Yeah, they get the bulldozer. They're bulldozing along.
And the graboids, for all this time, how Earl wants a plan, the graboids have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they apparently can dig traps.
And
So
that
that's what
cat
they
runs
did.
right into it.
I wasn't expecting to actually see that bulldozer fall into that fucking hole.
That was a bit of a twist.
And then the guy,
Yeah, once we
they
hit the
lose the
trap,
bulldozer.
then they're like, hey, we got to make it for those rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And
Thank God for rocks in this movie. They saved
Right?
them in quite
I
a
know.
few,
Right?
quite a few pivotal moments.
when Bert gives Melvin the gun,
Oh yeah,
because he's
Yeah.
like, he starts
He's all
shooting.
amped and shit.
that's
Yeah,
great.
he's like, oh man, they start running. He pulls the trigger. There's nothing in it.
That's funny.
Yep.
That's good.
And this scene is so fun when they like quote unquote go fishing and they tie
Yeah.
those bombs to like the ropes and start dragging them in, and they explode the one, and all those orange fucking
Like sweet
chunky
potatoes.
guts go over. Yeah.
Well, it looked like whale blubber. So
Mm-hmm.
they did good on
So are
that.
these just like-
you know,
Sand whales.
sand whales.
Sand whales.
Yeah. Sandworms.
Gosh.
I hate them.
Yeah, this is like
Walter.
speaking of sandworms. This is like just like Dune for rednecks, basically. It's the same basic idea.
It is.
The families, all these warring families, come together to fight the sandworms.
They throw another bomb out, and the graboid's like, "Fuck you! I know,
I know
what
what you're doing.
I know what you're doing."
I
And
know what you did this summer.
it blows up the rest of their supply of bombs, and somehow
Yeah.
like Val, Earl, and Rhonda all get like thrown off the rock.
Yeah.
They're just like out there. But this is our climax where Val all of a sudden has a plan,
He does. have
and
the plan.
that plan again goes wrong, and so he just wings it, and the end.
The end.
Great ending.
Graboid off.
The credits roll. Nothing happens. We don't see what happens. The end.
It's like the camera's like barreling towards him, and he like comes and he jumps out of the way, and then it just like the credits start rolling, and you never see
Nothing.
the graboid like go off the cliff or anything.
I would like that ending. I like endings like that.
What you know what would have been fun if you had the shot of like the graboid going down, and as like the ass end of it goes down, it's followed just by the credits, kind of like follow it going with it, and then it just ends.
That would be amazing.
Oh no! Speaking of, is it David Zucker?
Yeah, I think so. Right, David Zucker did Airplane.
Speaking of Airplane, and I'm thinking Animal House in this instance as well. So the graboid starts falling, and when the tail end goes down, the credits start going down too. But the graboid hits the fucking ground and explodes, and the credits stop at the ground, but they keep coming, and they start like
Yes.
bunching up
Oh my
until
God,
it's just
that's
like
so good.
a white line of text.
That's so good.
It's like in Animal House when the marching band goes down the alley and they just like walk into the wall and they keep marching and they just pile up.
Oh, what a fun idea.
Perfect.
I love that.
But that's Tremors.
That is Tremors.
I mean, to me, it's perfect.
It is.
It was good.
Let's talk about our favorite reveals, because there are a few. So there is the one reveal, I guess the first one, Megan is trying to save her husband, Jim, and then the one snake tongue pops up and it like hisses at her. I guess that would be like the first reveal.
Yeah.
And then there's the snake, there's the grabbers all going up the car. Then you get the big graboid coming out when Val and Earl are on the horses.
Well, then I don't know if mine, the one that I wrote down, I don't know if it counts. When the guys who are working on the road are jackhammering into the cement.
Ooh.
And then they hear like a screech and then blood starts gurgling up. So it's not really a reveal, but it is sort of revealing to us that there's clearly something under the ground because you hear it and you
that has
technically
blood.
see it. Yeah, like you see that there's a creature.
Yeah.
And I just love that moment so much.
Yeah.
Even like it does get a little crazy, but I even like when it gets crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my favorite quote unquote reveal of the creature.
I think my favorite reveal is when we see the big graboid.
That is also my favorite.
It's a good one. It's very epic, that moment.
Mm-hmm. Well, now it's time for a segment that I like to call The Real Monster.
Run, run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man. You're a monster. I'm not the monster here. You are. You and the rest of that fairy tale trash poisoning my perfect world. Now tell me, where are the others? Eat me.
Danny, you go first.
Okay. My real monster for this, or the real monster for this movie, in my opinion, is the character named Nancy, who is trying to get Earl and Val to pick up some firewood for her. And she's a real monster for trying to make them stay. She will not let these people just leave town. They are trying to do something. And she is such a block in the road before the literal block in the road that we find.
Yes.
It's like, let them go. They are trying. Like, she just symbolizes so much about people who are just trying to get out of like their current situation and unfold their wings or expose their true butterfly and embrace the world and all the beauty that it has waiting for it. So fuck you, Nancy.
But yeah, so even like Nancy, she even like tries to bribe them with free beer.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you drugs.
That's why it's so satisfying, because the scene sets it up as though they're going to like accept it. And then the fact that they don't, and they're like so celebratory about it, which is almost kind of heartbreaking, because it's like, oh, they really wanted this. And they were able
can't believe we turned down free beer.
They climbed that hurdle. That temptation wasn't enough for them. Good for them.
So I have two real monsters.
Okay.
I have Swiss cheese.
Oh, how dare you?
So disgusting.
No.
I love cheese. I love cheese. I cannot. I don't fuck with Swiss cheese. Let me tell you that.
Well, you're missing out, bud.
Oh, there's the smell of it.
I wish I had some now. Yeah, it smells like feet. Oh, so good.
So terrible. And she's like, I love it. And my number one real monster is Val's hammering skills.
Fuck, that was on my list too.
He's a handyman.
I was gonna say right after they're talking about being a handy, he was like, "We're handymen," and then he misses it
like 6 times.
And the best part was that he wasn't even just hitting a regular nail with a small nail head on it. He was hitting like a big curved one to hit that part.
Like
so he had so much more surface area. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh god.
And he still couldn't get it.
Casey, besides Val's hammering skills, what else do you have for Real Monster?
Well, I also have his obnoxious fucking list about what he wants this college student to look like. And then you guys know that I am not a fan of his hair in this movie either.
Man.
So who's the monster? His hair or his hairdresser?
I would say it's whoever made the decision.
That's fair.
Yeah. But the my number one real monster is bologna and beans.
Yeah.
I made breakfast yesterday. Bologna and
Val's
beans.
making some bad choices in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Like aesthetically, but also in terms of meals.
Okay, so that's Tremors in a perfection size nutshell.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything else to add about this movie?
I will say, even though I've only seen the first sequel, it's one of those movies where I can absolutely understand why it has so many sequels. Because there's just sort of, it's fun, you know, and there's a nice little simple recipe for just like a fun little B movie nod to like you mentioned, those old school monster flicks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they definitely expanded it with all this, the butt blasters and
especially if that was the goal, because I'm glad that they didn't just rush into the ass blasting. They gave viewers like
take
a
your
few
time.
more entries to sort of like pave the way.
Yeah.
So for that, I give them a lot of credit.
On that note, that is all the time we have for today. Listeners, if you have anything to add about Tremors or things you liked, things you didn't like, send us a tweet at howimetyourmonster or send us an email at zach@howimetyourmonster.com. And make sure to check out our website, howimetyourmonster.com. If you're feeling spicy, leave us a review. ratethispodcast.com/monster.
Or drink some milk. That usually helps with spicy.
Yes. Cool your mouth and then leave us a review. Because we do love to hear nice things about ourselves.
Yeah.
So starting episode 56, How I Met Your Monster will now be a bi-weekly podcast. So be on the lookout for bonus content in our off weeks and stay tuned for full episodes every other Monday on your favorite podcast platform. So that's it. As always, thank you for listening. Now go meet some monsters.